Good afternoon and welcome to Managing the ESL Multi-Level Classroom. This is our first webinar of two for the facilitated online course, and I'd like to thank you for showing up today. So in the beginning of this, we're going to talk about our agenda for today. And so in our session, we're going to explore some important aspects of ESL multi-level class environment, like class community, learner-centered classroom management, and the paradigm shift of classroom roles. So here you'll see on our agenda, we've got the welcome and introductions, the agenda and objectives. We'll be doing that very shortly. Defining what multi-level ESL is. We'll talk about classroom community or community, including learner-centered classroom management. We'll talk about that paradigm shift in the classroom roles. And we'll start talking about the ESL multi-level model lesson plan. We'll talk about the purposes of group work, and then we'll wrap up and give you an overview of the course. So the purpose of this course is to present to you strategies for planning lessons for students of widely varying language skills that help to engage each student in learning. Our objectives for the course are to develop a lesson for a multi-level ESL class, identify the resources that you may need for managing and teaching a multi-level class, and then also to develop solutions to the challenges presented by multi-level ESL classes. So our course expectations, because this is a facilitated online course, a lot of the work that you'll be doing will be in the Moodle. So the week is Monday through Sunday. We start on Monday, we end on Sunday. So you want to be sure to submit your work by Friday. Then you'll have a couple of days to respond to your colleagues and for them to respond to you. So you want to also read and contribute to the asynchronous online discussions at least twice a week. Read the course materials, watch the video, listen to the podcast, and complete your assignments. So our objectives for this webinar today are to describe the value of building class community in an ESL multi-level class and describe ways to foster that community. We'll describe the underlying principles of learner-centered classroom management, describe the roles of the instructor and learners in the ESL multi-level class, and explore the ESL multi-level planning process with backward design. So first, let's begin by defining multi-level. So this is our waterfall activity. So here in the chat, you're going to answer this question. So what you'll do is you'll open up your chat, type your answer, and wait until I say go. That'll be your key word is go. And then hit the enter button, and then your responses will be to this question. What is a characteristic of a designated multi-level class? Okay, let's see. Are you ready? Yes? Oh, not yet. Okay, what is a characteristic of a multi-level class? A designated multi-level class. I want to give you the sign to share your ideas in the chat. So let's say go. Okay, variety of levels, many different skills and backgrounds. Hmm, yes. Okay, got two answers so far. All right, diverse backgrounds. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I'm hoping we all got different learning styles. Good. Temporary solution. Oh, okay. Very good. I think I got a response from everyone, so thank you. All right, let's go ahead and move on. So, what are some of the benefits of an ESL multi-level class? So, I invite you to share your responses either in the chat or you can come off mute if your answers are faster that way. But what are some of the benefits of a multi-level ESL class? I keep forgetting to open the chat up again. Sorry. Thank you, Melinda. What are the benefits of a multi-level ESL class? Okay, learner community. Learners can help each other and learn from each other. Students can learn from each other. Good. It's more conducive to community building than a single level ESL class. Okay, great. And so then, what are some of the challenges of a multi-level ESL class? So another benefit is having students collaborate and clearer understanding. So now the challenges of a multi-level ESL class. No course outline. Okay. More resources need to be created. More work for the teacher to meet everyone's needs. Okay. So we have a few good answers. So let's so engaging also, besides meeting everyone's needs, also engaging all the levels. Yes, those are good. Low level students can feel isolated. Okay. Yeah, these are some of the challenges for sure. So our students differ not only in the degree of language proficiency, but also, as you've mentioned, in their educational backgrounds, their cultural experiences, professional expertise, and personal goals, even. And Jennifer comments that challenging higher level students rather than only having them help the lower learners. Yes, these are definitely things that you'll experience in an ESL multi-level class. It's an opportunity, though, to cultivate an environment where the differences are complementary strengths towards a common goal, similar to a workplace or a community environment. So students need to feel comfortable, right, and safe to take risks in learning, especially in an ESL multi-level class. The more students know each other and see the commonalities, the safer that community feels and forms for the students. So building a class community is one way to foster a class environment in which each student feels welcome, respected, and valued. I have a couple of quotes here from Jamie Adelson Goldstein and Leonor Balrio, um, Valido, sorry, that encourage us to embrace the class differences. So one of them is a multi-level classroom can be a learning community like no other. And the other is by naming and talking openly about the differences in the class, you have a better chance of exploiting the richness inherent in those differences. Multi becomes a strength rather than a deficit. Okay, so let's have another quick chat. This is not a waterfall, so you can add your answers at your own pace. So there's many ways to foster a class community, and this is called the give one, take one chat activity. So you'll share your community building activities with each other. So the first question is, how do you build class community so that each learner feels welcome and is respected and valued? So go ahead and provide your answer in the chat. I think, Melinda, thank you for adding the question. How do you build class community so that each learner feels welcome and is respected and valued? Okay, so our first answer is check-ins and having office hours outside of classroom time. Okay, introduction posts and comments to each other. Yes. Learning students' names and their interests, as well as having students getting to know each other, doing mixers, conversation starters, and games. Um, Another, Jennifer says, I try to make sure everyone knows everyone else's name. I've also occasionally brought food to share. There's always coffee available as well as prepared by food, right? Did I hear that right? Classroom coffee tea corner for students during the classroom break. Yes, I include a few snacks, question cards, or maybe a jigsaw puzzle they can work on together. Awesome. I meant prepared by community rep at school. Thank you. So yes, those are some great ideas. So now that you've seen and heard what your colleagues have mentioned in the chat, um, what is one idea or practice that you plan to take away? So you can share your idea in the chat as well. So coffee, tea corner. Yes, very powerful. Breaking of bread, sharing food is always a great way to get people talking. Check-ins and office hours. Okay. Yep. Great. Any others? Food and jigsaw puzzle. Yes. Jigsaw puzzle. I wonder, this is what question comes to mind for me as far as the jigsaw puzzle is how many pieces does that jigsaw puzzle have? So like how quickly can they complete the jigsaw puzzle, or is it something that stays on the table for every break time? That's another um something to consider, right? Those are great. So as you can see, another Jennifer says, I like the idea of class check-in. So I was going to say, as you can see, you all are a great resource to each other, just as your students can be a resource to each other or to one another. And if you use a give one, take one activity in your class, you may want to take time to practice the language that they will need first. Also, you might use some additional questions for extension, especially for your higher level students that will challenge them a little more. So for example, can you clarify that part about XYZ? Okay, so Ebony has a question. She says, I teach all my classes online. What are some other activities that you recommend? So, my dear colleagues here in our workshop, have you had experience with teaching online? And what would you offer to Ebony as an idea? Okay. I would say similar to what we're doing in the facilitated online course, having the introduction post, get to know you, ask a question that would create, interest, nothing too personal, like I shared with you all, to share your favorite color, and your pronouns or a name that you prefer to be used, so there's different questions that you could ask in that way that give people a chance to collaborate, to communicate with each other without revealing too much if that's a privacy issue. Games could be another, include some fun, often as possible games. Yep. Check-ins can be done in an online course. Chats are using a whiteboard for students to add information. Yep, these are great ideas. Thank you, friends. And in terms of the language, the the key is to prepare your students by giving them sentence frames or pre-thought out phrases that they can use. And so they're practicing the language that's just at their level rather than stretching them if they wouldn't be able to create the ideas on their own. That's another way that you can handle that is by providing the sentence frames for them. Okay. So students can feel a sense of class ownership when they have some responsibility for the class. Through a student-centered class management. So it becomes their class and not just the teacher's class. Yes? So why are learner-centered management and classroom jobs effective in an ESL multi-level class? So we give students a sense of ownership in that class. The learner-centered management and classroom jobs reflect the principles of adult learner from Knowles and Ferrer. Adult students are more motivated when they feel comfortable in the learning environment, have a variety of learning options, and have opportunities for social learning. This also gives students an opportunity for authentic language practice and workplace skills. And it also frees you, the instructor, to focus more on instruction. Classroom jobs are also an opportunity for students to use the authentic language. So there are many ways for students to take responsibility for their class. So, and this is an activity we're going to do online as a breakout. I think we have enough people. Yes, we do. Um, so as a round robin, step one is that the facilitator poses a problem or a question with many possible answers. And then step two is that group members will contribute to the answer, each taking turns going around the group. So imagine your students sitting at a table and everyone gets a chance to speak. In a breakout room, you would be monitoring for students that they're actually communicating and talking to each other, right? So through a round robin activity, we will brainstorm classroom jobs that students of any language level can do. So in this round robin, you will be in groups of, I think, two or three.
Yes.
Looks like three. Thank you, Melinda. You're going to be in groups of three. Each of you will have different roles. Since we don't have 5 people in every group, some of you will take on multiple roles. So there will be a manager, a facilitator/supervisor, a recorder, timekeeper, and presenter. So the manager, you'll monitor that the group is going to generate ideas. You have 5 minutes to do that, and then you're going to have 2 minutes to select one idea that you'll share a report on. Facilitator starts the round robin and makes sure that everyone has a turn. The recorder writes the ideas, one collective list, and then the presenter shares those ideas with the idea with everyone else. So in your group, you will decide who will be the timekeeper, the leader, recorder, and reporter. So each round robin group, you will record your ideas together. All right. Okay, so let's go on to the beginning. So here's your discussion question. What are some classroom jobs that a learner at any level can do? You'll have 5 minutes to generate ideas in your group and then take 2 minutes to select one that you would like to report on. Are you ready to go? All right, I'm going to give it over to Melinda.
Ready or not, here you go.
Okay.
All right. You will be sent to your rooms, and remember, you'll be muted, so unmute when you get there so that you can talk with one another. The room will end. You'll come back here after 7 minutes. Actually, about 7 minutes and 10 seconds, give or take 5 seconds. Here we go.
Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you had a good chance to collaborate with your colleagues. Now I'd like to ask the question for y'all to share. Who is your reporter and which of the ideas or classroom jobs would you like to share? So let's see, room one, group one.
I think that was our group. That was Seta, Derek, and myself.
Okay.
Yes.
Where we came up with about 6 different ideas.
Okay.
We had a sign-in monitor, somebody who can make sure and check that everybody has signed in for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Handing out supplies.
Okay.
A new student tour guide. So if somebody is new to the class, they can kind of show them around and, explain where things go, what happens. A headset and computer manager, somebody who hands out the headsets or something if there's computers. The cleanup person for the coffee and snack area. And if there is a WhatsApp group or a Remind group, somebody who is kind of like the leader to get everybody's name and make sure that everybody is on the app for group messaging.
Okay. Wonderful. And in group two? Thank you. So let's see, was that I know Ebony, Linda,
And
is that,
Jennifer.
and Jennifer? Okay. Do you choose to share in the chat? No. Okay. So you can come off mute to share. Or oh, there you go. Jennifer, I see you're unmuted.
My internet connection says it's unstable, so I don't know
Okay.
if you can hear me, but
I can hear you.
we uh we we found 2 roles, I think. One was also handing out supplies, handing out papers, but another was helping classmates with technology.
Okay. I've heard
And
those called.
please correct me if I'm wrong, Ebony and Linda.
No, yeah, that was right.
Okay.
And
I've heard. Go
Estella, I'm
ahead.
going to interrupt just for a second. If
Yes.
anybody's getting the internet or the bandwidth low kind of thing, go ahead and turn off your camera. It's more important that we hear you than we see you. So if you turn off your camera, you're saving bandwidth on your side, and that should help.
Thank you, Melinda. So I was going to say that I've heard those jobs called, for example, in another group I was working with recently, the tech person was called the Geek Squad, where they had assigned a few people to be the Geek Squad, or you could call it something fun like that. Another one would be materials manager, the one who hands out the packets. So and make sure that your students have everything they need. So those are, you can give them fun names like that too, materials manager, Geek Squad. All right, so thank you so much. So again, as you can see, you've been a great resource to each other, sharing your ideas and experience. So if you use the round robin in your class, what modifications to the language of the directions would you make? And what role can a lower level student play? What language do they need in order to play that role? So these are some ideas for consideration. Okay. So a successful multi-level instruction may entail a paradigm shift of classroom roles of the instructor and the learners. Let's explore that paradigm shift now. So the role of the instructor may become more of a shift from a sage on the stage to a guide on the side. What's the difference between the two? What are your thoughts? Okay, we have a very quiet group today, so let's talk about it. Oh, I hear
Yeah.
somebody came off mute. Go ahead, Derek.
Sage on the stage is teacher directed, so it's like the picture showing where the teacher just stands in the front and is maybe lecturing. And then a guide on the side is more student centered, where maybe you put them in groups and have them brainstorm and collaborate, and you just kind of facilitate the activity and check in with them and help when they need it.
Okay, great. And I also see in the chat, Michelle says lesson teacher centered instruction. So where are you on this continuum? And then thinking about that, what is an example of evidence of where you are? So we have the sage on the stage versus the guide on the side. So where do you fall on the continuum? You feel brave to share? Okay, so Jennifer says, I've always wanted to be more of a guide on the side, but it takes more time, which I don't have. I also don't necessarily have the instructional materials to support this. Okay, fair. I see Seda has her hand up.
Seda.
Seda,
Yes,
okay, I was
yes,
close.
it's fine. Yes. So, I mean, when I see this picture, it makes me think like I am in both sides, depends on what I'm teaching,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes I need to be sage on the stage, especially while I'm teaching grammar, and guide on the side when I'm doing like pair work activities, group activities. And I cannot say I'm completely this one or completely this one. It changes the group, their needs, and the topic that I'm teaching for me. That's my idea.
Excellent, thank you. Any other ideas? What anyone else would like to share? I needed my glasses to read what's in the chat. So, okay, so we've talked a bit about this paradigm shift in the learner and instructor roles in a multi-level ESL classroom. So, instructors become more facilitators of learning, and learners become more active in learners as well as peer teachers. Thank you so much for your honest self-reflection, because that is something to consider. And I do agree with Seda that we move from into different roles depending on what we're doing. So it will take time though to develop the classroom culture and the expectations and the skills where your learners take more responsibility for their individual and collective learning, and where you as an instructor can take on a more facilitator role. Okay, so what do you know about the steps of backward design? Go ahead and come off mute or share an idea in the chat. What do you know about the steps in backward design? So think about backward design. When you're thinking about lesson planning, what would be the first thing that what would be the first bit of information that you would collect in order to create a lesson plan? Okay, develop learning goals and objectives. Okay, an objective. Yes, exactly. You want to identify the desired results. Start with the learning outcomes. Begin with the end in mind. I'd ask myself what do I want the students to be able to do by the end of our time together? Excellent. So then what would be the second step? Assessment. Okay. So the evidence of learning. Okay. Other ideas? Okay, good. An introduction. All right. So yes, you want to determine the acceptable evidence of the learner's achievement, that they can demonstrate the achievement of the lesson objectives. How will I know they have achieved the outcome? Excellent. So then the next step would be plan your learning experience. So how will you facilitate that learning experience for your students? How many of you use this backward planning or backward design when you're preparing your lessons? Okay, I see a hand. Okay. All right. In the chat, I see this is new to me. Okay, great. That's what we're here to learn and share together. All right. So this is we're transitioning now to talk about the purposes of group work. And this will be a preview of an assignment that you'll have during this coming week or weeks. So we're going to talk briefly about grouping strategies to provide both management and instructional tools in a multi-level ESL class. You'll work more with grouping strategies before session 2. So this is setting the stage. So grouping students in a multi-level ESL class assists in addressing joint goals. So building classroom community so that all learners feel that they belong and contribute to the class, and meeting the instructional needs of all learners. So which grouping strategies have you seen that work in this kind of a situation in a multi-level classroom? What grouping strategies have you seen that are successful? Okay. Thank you, Melinda, for putting the question in the chat. What grouping strategies have you seen are successful in a multi-level class? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of quiet. Okay, so grouping mixed level students together. There's a name for that, would be called cross-ability grouping. Cross-ability. Mhm. Any other strategies that have worked well? Okay, it varies. Sometimes higher level students with lower level students, so again, cross-ability, sometimes same level students together, like ability. with similar personalities, similar ages. Okay. I've had success with asking students to try and talk to everyone of their classmates. You have a small class. Awesome. You call it a cocktail party. Oh, how fun. That's a fun way to get people talking, even whatever their limited English is, right? In a multi-level group. Okay. Awesome. Cocktail party. Hi. Well, hello there. Okay, so let's move on to our next idea. Hello.
Hi, sorry,
It's
I
okay.
didn't
Go ahead.
read.
All right, go ahead and put yourself on mute until we have a chance to do conversation, okay? Thank you.
Okay.
So throughout this multi-level ESL lesson, there will be a variety of grouping strategies. You've probably heard of the WPAEA lesson planning format, which is provided to us by the California Adult Literacy Professional Development Project, CalPro, that we use here. So let's take a moment to identify and clarify what the elements of the WPAEA lesson plan are. So the W is for warm up and review, I for the introduction of the lesson, P for the presentation, another P for practice, evaluation, E, and then the A for application. So the different stages will require different grouping strategies. At the beginning of the lesson, you want to establish class community. This can be fostered by whole group warm-up activity. And remember that we have one lesson topic, one class objective. You'll want to introduce the topic and present the new information to learners as a whole group. The use of props and audiovisual aids can help you make the content available to learners of all levels. Learners then practice the language and material at their own level in either likability or crossability groups. A note about crossability group practice that each learner plays a role in the practice at their appropriate level, not with the higher level tutoring the lower level. So an example of a crossability activity is a jigsaw. And what are some other examples that you've seen that work? You all mentioned earlier the likability and crossability. I'm trying to think what was in the chat. Okay, those are the two that I remember the most. So then as you evolve into the lesson, then the students will move into the individual learning stage. And then at the end, they come back together as a whole group. Okay. So this is an overview then of our course content. So week 1, you have a virtual workroom for multi-level ESL instructors by Jamie Adelson Goldstein. And here you will find 2 podcasts. The first podcast is called The Madness, the Magic. And this one helps us to look at the challenges and the benefits of being in a multi-level class or having a multi-level classroom. The second podcast is called Objectives and Levels and Content. Oh my. So this includes general lesson theme topics, whole class presentation, and level specific objectives. In week 2, you will see a video demonstration of a multi-level ESL class. So the purpose is to identify the effectiveness of various parts of the lesson and then reflect on what kinds of activities help make a multi-level lesson successful. Week 3, you'll have a background reading, the second of 2, and then we'll be talking about grouping strategies like whole group, likability, crossability, and then selecting materials. And then in week 3, we'll return to the virtual workroom for multi-level ESL instructors by Jamie Adelson Goldstein with 3 podcasts. So we have podcast 3, The Art of Orchestrating a Multi-Level Class, which includes strategies and activities. Podcast 4, again, strategies and activities, group work that works, part 1. And then the last podcast would be number 5, group work that works, part 2. This one is talking about the team roles. So by the time you get to week 3, you'll begin developing a single multi-level lesson plan with differentiated objectives and learning activities. This will be due in week 4, but we get you started and prepared to work on it during week 3. And then week 4, you start to create your multi-level lesson plan and submit it. And then you and your colleagues will share feedback with each other about the lesson plans. Then you'll reflect, provide solutions to address the challenges facing multi-level instructors, and explore resources for multi-level instructors. So before we finish, let's just review real quick the objectives that we promised we would do today before the end of the session. So the first was to describe the value of building class community in an ESL class and describe the ways to foster it. Describe the underlying principles of learner-centered classroom management. Describe the roles of the instructor and the learners in an ESL multi-level class in the 21st century. And explore the ESL multi-level lesson plan process with backward design. Were these objectives met today? Any thumbs up? Yes in the chat? No in the chat? Okay, so far 2 yeses. Thank you. 3 yeses. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Okay. So here in the chat, I'd like you to share your thoughts. This is our reflection for today. What was the most helpful in this webinar? So go ahead and share your ideas in the chat. What was the most helpful in this webinar? Sharing and hearing ideas for community building and classroom roles. Okay. Learning about other folks' strategies of assigning roles to learners. Very nice. Thank you for sharing. Any other reflections? What was most helpful? Okay. All right. So here are your next steps. So for week 1, you want to complete your activities by April the 5th, which is Sunday. So remember the class is, the weeks are Monday through Sunday. Ebony says, learning about how to build community within the classroom. All right, next steps, week 1, complete your activities by April 5th. And then week 2, you'll begin your activities on April the 6th. And I will see you online. I will offer you an opportunity to share any questions that you have. I hear Melinda's off mute. Okay, so I see a couple of items in the chat, learning about how to build community, ways of creating classroom responsibilities. And Jennifer says that she participated in the original workshop with Jamie, and she appreciates this review because we need to make these ideas a reality in the classroom. Okay, yeah, her name is Jamie. All right, so questions, of course, you can always email our colleagues, Maria or Melinda, at within CalPro. Within our Moodle, you can send messages. You can send me a chat message. You can send me an email. also through it goes to my email, so you're welcome to send your questions there. And I will do my best to answer as quickly as I can, so that especially if you feel like you're stuck, on an activity, I like to help you get through that. And so Maria is offering her email. You can see her email is mcarrasco@air.org. And you can also send your messages to calpro.org. But it's Maria is our support for this particular course. And I would like to say thank you for your active participation, for coming here on a Wednesday afternoon. I was going to say Friday, a Wednesday afternoon. Still perky enough to bring and share your ideas. So thank you so much for being here. And I'll see you online in the Moodle. And if you have any questions, feel free to check in with us. So thank you.